she comes out with this hit, Me and You. A freaking bop, period. Okay. Hey, I've been waiting. Think I wanna like. Welcome to Graceless Crimes, and I want to talk about Diddy. I want to finally get into the Diddy case because it's so much, and I just wanted to wait until the trial was over to kind of go from start to finish. Before we get started, I want to say hello. Hi, I'm Grace. This is Graceless Crimes. We do deep dives on true crime, conspiracy theories, a little bit of pop culture, a lot of bit of pop culture. And if you love or like, please hit the subscribe button, give me a shout out. And stay tuned for more wonderful episodes. Before we also deep dive into Mr. Bad Boy, Mr. Menace, I would love to say I love my auntie. She just passed away. She was my true crime bestie, my tastemaker in my own life. She knew everything about everything, and it's really a great loss. So I do want to carry on her wonderful legacy of knowing everybody's business and really looking for the truth. Let's get into it. Okay. Before the lawsuits and the RICO charges and Cassie exposing him to the world, Sean Combs was just another ambitious college kid chasing power. And even at the very start of his career, there were red flags. Okay. There were bodies. There were stolen careers, gunshots, and even a record built on exploitation. So let's talk about the oranges of the bad boy himself and the people who paid the price for Diddy's empire. He started as a business major at Howard University. This is how he was introduced to the party life, okay? Prestigious HBCU in Washington, D.C. Now, when he dropped out in his sophomore year, it was because he wanted to intern at Uptown Records in New York. That's where he discovered talent like Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, and he helped shape the 90s R&B sound. That's undeniable. But Diddy was always too much, right? Even then, he was fired from Uptown for being out of control with the budgets and his ego. So he launches Bad Boy Records in 1993 with Arista backing him. And his first major artist was a very small Brooklyn rapper with a very big name, Biggie Smalls, the Christopher Wallace. So Bad Boy's booming, all right? It's 1997, just 4 short years later, and Bad Boy's printing money. We've got Biggie Smalls, his wife, Faith Evans. We have 112 total. Mase, who was a golden boy with a really smooth flow and just a huge crossover appeal. He had the dimple, he had the charm, amazing smile. But Mase quickly realizes there's a dark side to this, okay? And despite the multi-platinum albums, he claims he made next to nothing. He left the music industry at his peak, claiming that he had a spiritual awakening. He became a pastor, if I'm not mistaken, and years later tried to buy back his publishing. Now, Diddy, of course, said, yeah, you can have your publishing back. It'll cost you $2 million. Mase said, I actually offered him that money, and he told me no. To this day, Mase has said he was blackballed, and his publishing still in Diddy's hands. So let's go back a little bit to 1991. December of 91, before Bad Boy even existed, Diddy had this celebrity basketball game he did at City College in Harlem, okay? And it featured, again, more tastemakers, more cool folks. We had Heavy D, LL Cool J, BBD, huge draw. But the venue was small, and about 5,000 people showed up. Now, the doors were locked, and security was a mess. So when fans tried to force their way in, it triggered a horrible, deadly stampede. 9 people ended up crushed to their death, and dozens more were injured. There were parents begging for answers, and a lot of the lawsuits ended up buried. Diddy offered condolences, but he moved on. This was the first time of many that lives were lost under his watch and in his orbit. So now we're back to the mid-late 90s. It's 1999. We are at a club, okay? It's Diddy, it's J-Lo, his then girly pop, She's got the white fit with the freaking white bandana. It was iconic. I'll put pictures. Rapper Shyne. They're all at a club called Club New York in Manhattan. A fight breaks out. A gun goes off. 3 people are shot. Okay. There's one woman who was shot in her face. In her face, mind you. She survives. Now, I've seen interviews. Find the interviews, and if I can recall who did the interviews, I'm going to put the link in my description box. The interview is fantastic. Not only is she so well spoken, but she really has done the work to find the healing and explain the story in a way where not only does it all make sense, but it really fills in the gaps of what truly happened that evening. Diddy fled the scene with Miss J-Lo. This orange drink, and Diddy fled the scene. And she was reportedly holding the gun in her Hermes bag. Can you even imagine? Baby, I don't love anybody that much. When the police stopped them. So she was cleared. Diddy and Shyne are arrested. Diddy gets Johnny Cochran as his lawyer. If you don't know who Johnny Cochran is, a very famous black attorney. He was part of the O.J. Simpson trial. And, he was that man. And so Shyne, who was freaking 21 at the time, and it's so hard to believe Shyne was 21 at the time because he's in his late 40s now, early 50s. He took the fall. He took the fall for the entire thing and served 10 years. Natania is rarely mentioned in the story. It says Sean Diddy Combs shot her in the face. That is who shot her in the face. She saw him do it. And she's rarely mentioned. She has filed civil lawsuits, but it's unclear if she ever actually received any money from this. And it wasn't just wrong place, wrong time. She had known Diddy and Shyne and these folks. So it wasn't some stranger, as we come to know, who was just accidentally grazed. She's had traumatic brain injury from this, and the industry never really looked back and swept it under the rug. So we're collecting bodies at this point. All right. Now, if you've been paying attention, the pattern is clear. Wherever Diddy goes, people get hurt. He's rising. Others pay the price. But for decades, he's protected by the industry, right? He's too powerful. He's too rich, and he's too connected. But slowly, as we get into the 2000s, right, the cracks begin to show. This is the beginning of Bad Boy. A dynasty that's built on ambition, tragedy, and silence, right? But now we have to go a little bit deeper because we need to figure out how the hell we got from dancing in videos to you're in trial for a daggone RICO trafficking case. I do want to talk more about some of the other deaths surrounding Pac, Kim Porter, like all of those very quickly. There's Tupac Shakur and Notorious B.I.G. They were the 2 most influential rappers, honestly, in our history. Fight with your mama, because that's what I said. There's no denying their impact on music, on artistry, on poetry, even on contractual obligations when it comes to music. Both of them were dead before 26, and Tupac believed that Diddy and Biggie were involved in his first 1994 shooting at Quad Studios. That incident kind of sparked the East Coast, West Coast beef. Pac was shot, if I'm not mistaken, multiple times. He did survive. And months later, he's killed in Vegas. He's in a car with Suge Knight. He's at a Tyson fight, and he's killed at a stoplight by unidentified folks. Less than a year later, Biggie's murdered in LA. And so here's where it gets ugly, right? Biggie's mom says he never got his royalties from Bad Boy. Miss Violetta Wallace was a Jamaican Jehovah's Witness from Brooklyn. She was gonna go after whoever she had to go after behind her baby. Let's be so for real. Suge Knight blames Diddy for escalating the war, and like Biggie's mother never got her foot off of Diddy's neck. She recently passed away, and it was a loss too because she really was advocating for her child behind this nonsense that happened. There's multiple documentaries that kind of try to point to like law enforcement ties, paid cover-ups, and again, we've got 2 of the greatest rappers alive now gone, and Diddy again being untouched. The other death that people talk about often and talk about a lot more present day is his longtime partner, mother to 3 of his children, Miss Beautiful Kim Porter. She dies suddenly in 2018, and the official cause of death was listed as pneumonia. Her close friends say no. She was healthy, she was active, and she was allegedly preparing to write a tell-all memoir. So the book never surfaces, and she was also supposedly warning people like, yo, if anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident. And that is just in and of itself chilling, okay? Now, pair that with the lady who was shot down at the New York club in 1999, just creates this orbit of death and silence, right? It's a repeat pattern. His control over people wasn't just emotional. It was contractual, it was financial, it's physical. So Cassie's 19 when she meets Sean Combs. He's in his late 30s at this point. He's 37. He's already a mogul. He's already a label boss, a global celebrity, a household name. She comes out with this hit, Me and You. A freaking bop, period. Okay. Hey, I've been waiting. Think I wanna like. But her career never progresses. It's odd. She's young, she's talented, she can dance. And it's like she was an it girl. So it just never made sense to us. But Diddy signed this girl, we later find out, to a 20 album deal. Even by early 2000s, 360, deal standards, this is unheard of. Nobody gets 20 album deals. Not Beyonce, not Rihanna. This is not a contract. And behind the scenes, he's controlling everything. Not only what she saw, what she wore, where she went, how she looked. He's paying for your apartment. So everything's under Combs Enterprises. You got Bad Boy Entertainment, which is the music label, Sean John, which is the fashion label. You've got Revolt TV, Ciroc Vodka Partnerships, Love Records, Capital Prep Harlem, which is like a charter school that he had, and then his real estate investment holdings and more. It just becomes this overarching organization, which is why we end up in a RICO case. 2023, present day, Cassie files a bombshell lawsuit. It's a civil suit. She accuses Diddy of years of sexual assault, abuse, trafficking, and coercion. She says she tried to leave multiple times, and then a surveillance video emerges. You can look it up on the internet. I'm not going to put it here. I watched it and was nauseous. To see anyone, man or woman, hitting another person like that was a lot. To see a grown man chase somebody down a hallway in a towel, he's basically naked, no shoes on. This girl's trying to get her shoes. She's trying to call hotel security on the phone on the wall. And to see him chase her, grab her, slam her to the ground, somebody's baby, somebody's child, is horrifying. And it confirmed everything she said. And it wasn't just rumors anymore. This is evidence. And the world finally starts listening. Her civil suit opens up floodgates. He settles with her, and people keep saying 24 hours, baby. It was 19 and a half hours. Nobody has ever seen something settle so quickly for an exorbitant amount of money. It's too late. Women start coming forward. More lawsuits, and then all of a sudden, here come the feds. Your girlfriend's mother, your supposed girlfriend's mother, is taking money against her mortgage to write you a check to Combs Enterprises, a check you didn't even cash, supposedly, which means you're using your business resources to fund abuse, victimization of others. This is how we get to RICO. It's Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. He's not being framed, made his girlfriend's mama take money out of her damn mortgage so he wouldn't release a sex tape of this girlfriend he loved. Yeah, and brought it to Combs Enterprises. Let's use our critical thinking skills, shall we? Be serious. He was running Bad Boy and other businesses like a criminal enterprise. That's the bottom line. So we have a receipt. Of Cassie's parents writing a check to your boyfriend, Cassie's boyfriend, right? Boss, really, for this money. And he could have paid from a personal account, but he didn't. He could have paid for Cassie's apartment and all of these things. Again, girlfriend, right? With his personal account, but he didn't. He put everything under an organization, and that's how they got him. They're down at his house going through all his stuff. His kids are on the front lawn. I'm not posting those pictures because that's no. They're going through his house, I believe, in Miami and in another city. Another thing about RICO, let's just be clear, is a federal investigation where they look for the evidence first as opposed to regular folks, right? You get arrested first and then the state builds a case on you. So they had evidence to go into his house, to, pull all of these records, to find 1,000 bottles of baby oil, supposedly, laptops, hard drives, everything that they could find. Because I think we forget about this, okay? Total, the band, the group, gone. Danity Kane, disbanded. Day 26, disbanded. Aubrey O'Day still has PTSD, okay? He didn't make people's careers. He used people, broke their spirits, and recycled their pain into profit. Let's go over timeline overview, legal stuff. We're going to go over the trial and the outcome. Okay, here's the timeline. So September 16th, 2024, he's arrested at Park Hyatt Hotel in New York City by the Homeland Security. The 17th of September, they unsealed the indictment. It was racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. Trial starts May 12th of 2025 in the Manhattan Federal Court. So here's what happens. We have multiple key witnesses. The star witness being Cassie Cassandra Ventura Fine. She's now married to Alex Fine. I think 3 weeks from giving birth when she testified. She testified over 4 days. She detailed a decade long of abuse with these freak-offs, which were drug-fueled sex acts with escorts. She says the first time he assaulted her was in 2018. A long time of being in a relationship before somebody does something like that to you. And that's, I think, what people need to understand about abuse, is that abuse can evolve, develop, and get worse and worse over time. It's not day one. It's not day 500. It can happen after 20 years. And a lot of fear-driven control, okay? We also have a second ex-girlfriend named Jane who dated him from 2021 to 2024. She also says the same thing: coerced freak-offs, physical violence, threats of releasing videos, and just feeling obligated. He ran and owned her life and her lifestyle. We have the hotel security guard who was present during that 2016 assault. Sean Combs actually paid him $100,000 to remove the footage. We have somebody named Daniel Phillip, or the Punisher. He's a male escort. He describes being paid upwards of $6,000 to have sex with Cassie while Diddy watched. And he saw him assault Cassie, dragging her hair, throwing bottles at her, things of that nature. We also have the wonderful and, brave as well, Kid Cudi, who is a rapper and a former partner of Cassie. He did try to date Cassie a couple of years before she left Diddy, and was called on the phone by somebody, either Diddy or his assistant, saying, "Hey, we're in your house." Shows up at his house. His dog's locked in the bathroom. The dog is scared out of his mind. The man opened all his Christmas presents like he's some sort of weird, Marvel villain. I don't know what he thinks this is, Gotham City. A couple of weeks later, right around Christmas time, his Porsche blows up with a Molotov cocktail after the relationship is found out. So again, oh, you should leave. She should leave. She should leave. She did try to leave. And lives were put in danger. And so she's not only protecting herself at this point. Now she has to stay so that other people around her don't get harmed. So let's use our critical thinking skills. We also have Cassie's close friend, Carrie Morgan. We had Dawn Richard, who was a Danity Kane singer. We have another former assistant. We have additional hotel security assistants and the actual Homeland Security agents who recovered evidence of baby oil, lubricants, firearms, AR-15s, and large amounts of cash. This is what you find in the house, aside from the baby oil, in a mobster's house, all right? There's also forensics and support staff that explain victim trauma. They analyzed iPhones and other staff that corroborated all this abuse. You have a bunch of people saying the same thing, and folks are still trying to say this man was framed. So in summary, we have 34 witnesses over 6 weeks of trial and testimonies that really paint a detailed pattern of coercion, abuse, trafficking, evidence tampering, and organized enterprise, okay? This was the backbone of the prosecution's case under RICO and sex trafficking statutes. The trial verdict was just done July of 2025, and Mr. Combs was convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution under the Mann Act related to Cassie and another ex-girlfriend who under the pseudonym Jane. And he was acquitted actually on several charges. Unfortunately, 1 count of the racketeering conspiracy and then 2 counts of the sex trafficking. So the jury took 3 days to deliberate, and the judge also denied bail, obviously because he could be a potential danger, not only because of his resources, but because of prior domestic violence. So as it stands, we've got an October 3rd sentencing date, and once both parties consent, and they're thinking about an earlier date of the 22nd of September, but I think they settled on October. He will get time served for credit because he has been in custody since the September 2024, which might partially count towards his sentence. Each count carries a maximum of 10 years. And so theoretically, he could get about 20 years max. But I think they're probably going to do the federal sentencing guidelines of 4 to 5 years. And defense is probably going to push for 2. We'll see what happens. There was a mixed verdict in the public. I think some people felt coercion was hard to prove. Other people emphasized the ongoing relationships and consent in some cases. But it's coerced consent, and there's a huge difference. And legal experts say that the RICO charge was really seen as a stretch without those inside witness testimonies, so that those did help. He's currently at the Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center awaiting sentencing. Luigi Mangione is there too. He ain't friends with him because I heard Diddy doesn't like the attention Luigi's getting. Luigi Mangione and Diddy's attorneys are actually married, so that's super interesting. And there are sentencing memos due in mid-September, so they may also consider some uncharged conduct and video evidence. But his daughters were in court, his family was present in court. It was very strange to see. And Diddy apparently started an in-prison rehab program for domestic violence and substance abuse to show that he has remorse, in his sentencing, and that he's trying to change himself. I don't know what else I could possibly say about this except for Diddy, you're a menace. Cassie, you're fucking brave. And I hope that, you enjoy your life. Congratulations to Kid Cudi for just getting married in France while Diddy's eating God knows what from the commissary. I don't feel bad for you. I truly believe that, what happens in the dark comes to light. And I can't wait to see what comes from this, right? From everybody else. And I know Kim Porter's dancing in heaven right now. Stay safe. Don't be graceless. And don't be a fucking menace, okay? Bye.